Hello. This week I want to talk to you about building a life first business. And this is maybe slightly a step away from the money talk, but it's not really, okay? It's not really, is it? Because all business is money. So there's a lot of crossover between what I help people with and what a business coach might help people with. There's a lot of crossover. Doesn't mean I am a business coach, but if it touches money, sales, I can help you. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this because I think when I first heard this phrase, I almost scoffed a little bit. I think this idea of a life first business as opposed to just a business, and it kind of gave me the same vibe as when people are like, oh, I'm a CEO, not a CEO, and they're like girl boss and boss babe and all these things, and it's like, I'm just a business owner, if not better than a lot of male business owners I've met. You're amazing and talented and wonderful. But I think for me, I didn't get it. I think that was my problem, is that I just didn't get it. But at the same time, it did still make me think, is my business life first, or was I putting my business first? And I think it's really easy to get muddled, to almost start moving your business over to business first when that wasn't your intention. Now, a lot of people went into business or kind of fell into business in some regards. And I think if that's how you started, it's really easy to get caught into the trap of being business first or business led, right? You're kind of just reacting to what is happening in the business. And then there's also people that obviously started their business from leaving a corporate job. So maybe had certain expectations of what their income needed to be, and what their work ethic, what their work pattern was going to look like, because maybe that's what they did in their 9 to 5. And so again, it's more work first as opposed to life first. Now, I always like to think that I did have a life first, or have always had a life first business, because I built my business around childcare. My whole thing was earning a full-time wage on a part-time income. I was working 3 days a week, or 2.5 days at my old corporate job. Just balanced childcare, only paid for 2 days of childcare, and then me and my partner did split days on that half day to manage it. So I knew that whatever I started, I only had 2 childcare days, and ultimately my partner would want to go back into work that extra day so that he could come home earlier. He does flexi hours, which is how we managed that. So I knew my business had to be life first from the very get-go. I knew I only had 2 days a week to generate a full-time income, because that's what I needed. That was the bills that I needed to cover. It's when you start to get a bit more freedom and flexibility. So when I had to grow a business under really tight constraints, I did it. I made it happen. And I think if there's anyone out here, a fellow type A, maybe your eldest daughter energy, where you're like, I had to do it, so it got done, But when I started putting my son into nursery more, that originated from my person. That's what I wanted for me as a person. That was a life first decision. But I think it can get swayed, and I think there can be a narrative of well, if your child is in childcare, it's because you have to work. And I had to really work with the narrative of I'm allowed to do what I want to do, as long as I bring in the money that I have agreed to in this household. How I manage my time is ultimately up to me. Now, yes, of course, some people might need more time in their week in order to set up their business, in order to get it to a sustainable point. So maybe they do have their child in childcare in order to run their business. But for me, it was very much I this is potentially a vulnerable share, but I love my son, of course I do. I think he's the light on earth. He's funny. He's great. Okay, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, would recommend. Don't know if I'd do it again. So, and I always wanted him. I always wanted a child. I always wanted to be a mum. I remember the minute I turned 16, I don't know what it was, I had in my head, almost legally now I can be a mum. I had in my head of you're going to be a mum. And now, without going into too much, it comes from a long childhood of emotional neglect. Throughout my entire kind of childhood, teenage years, early 20s, you know, I wanted to be a mum. That was my I felt like it was my calling. And so when I fell pregnant, I was so excited. But the reality is quite different. The reality of dreaming of becoming a mum and becoming a mum, very, very different. Stark differences. Now, I don't want to put anyone off because, like I said, I love him now. I mean, he's age 3 now. He's absolutely fantastic. But I really struggled with the adjustment. We also learned that in this time period, I've come to know that I have ADHD, which is okay, that makes a lot more sense. I've also had to quite dramatically increase my anxiety medication. Now that I am kind of at a point where I'm medicated, I understand how my brain works, and I've worked with owning the fact that yes, my child is in nursery and he doesn't technically need to be. I've sat with that and I'm happy with that, and I'm so much happier. I think right now I am the happiest I have been in years. But that is because I've put myself first. And it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to do that. Because when I wanted to work more, there's almost this narrative of, well, you want to work more, it means you want more money. And because that's a choice I'm making, is there a level of greed in there? No. I mean, I've done, a lot of mindset work around no. Actually, it was best for all of us. I was really struggling being at home with a baby. I find toddlers a lot easier. I find them quite funny. But at the baby age, baby into 1, early 2s, I really struggled. Especially age 1. The 1-year-olds, you can't communicate your needs. At this point, I had been on anxiety medication since before my son was born. And then after he was born, I increased it because I experienced postnatal depression. So I increased my medication, but it never really felt like it made a difference. And it was earlier this year, I hit a really low point. So my son's about 2.5 years old. I hit a really low point where I'm just not myself. I feel really out of control. My emotions would just switch so quickly. I was really bad. Ultimately, what happened was I had a conversation with my GP. I had a chat with my GP. We agreed to trial increasing the medication to see if that helped. And if it didn't, then we'd kind of wean off and try a different medication. I increased the medication and I went to therapy, all on the NHS, and fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Change was almost not instant, but you could tell almost straight away that I was coping a lot better. Because of that, my child's behaviour improved and we just started having fun. But along the way, decisions were made around putting my child into nursery more so that I could cope better, essentially. So that I could have more time where I didn't feel stressed and on edge and overwhelmed and overstimulated. And equally, he was getting time socialising with children and working with professionals that have done so much for him. Can I just say, I love playing with my son, but I feel like that's what we do. He hangs out with me, we play. He goes to nursery, he's learnt to count at nursery, he's learnt to use the big boy toilet and wipe his own bum. I remember when he was a baby and he went to nursery, they taught him sign language, and then he could, I tried teaching him some sign language, and we did from good old Miss Rachel, but he learned so much more when he went to nursery and then could communicate. Oh my God. Honestly, nursery is a godsend. For me, absolute godsend. Your business will go through phases, and there will be times where it feels really, really busy and you don't have any time to do anything. And that's when it can start feeling like your business is taking over. I think as long as you manage that, as long as you recognise that that is for a phase and that ultimately you are building to be more sustainable. And it's recognising when it isn't sustainable and it is just grind and it's never going to stop. That's when we need to take a step back and start putting yourself first. So for me, having a life first business meant being able to afford, so earning the money in the business I needed in order to put my son into nursery more. It looks like being able to afford doing PT sessions to look after my body and my mind. It looks like taking driving lessons so I can finally tick that one off. Like, there's lots of things where you might think, oh, but you need more money to do those things, so surely you need to work more. But working more doesn't automatically mean earning more money. Okay? You can work very little and earn a lot of money, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't mean that the people that are working lots and earning less are doing anything wrong. That is a systemic issue, okay? That is not your problem. Yes, we can fight for change, of course. Sign the petitions, go to the protests, fight for the rights of employed workers, of course. But for you as a business owner, that is the thing that you are willing to take on, right? That there is an opportunity cost to everything we do. And the opportunity cost with working for yourself, obviously the risk is, I'm responsible for my income should anything happen. Like, I don't have sick pay, I don't have, there are lots of perks to employment that you don't get when you're self-employed. But the benefit of being self-employed is that you can then earn more. Whereas when you're employed, you're kind of stuck in that salary range, and of course you can work your way up, but that, I don't know, it's not for everyone. Same as like working for yourself is not for everyone. So I keep forgetting what my main point is and coming back to it, but the benefit of being a business owner is that you can earn more money by working less. And it's not luck, it is strategic planning. I would love to say that my success, living the life that I want to live right now today is luck. Like, I've just, rolled a magic ball and it's all great, but it's not. Like, it's taken 18 months of, momentum, strategy, networking, like all the things that go into building a sustainable business. Working on my offer suite, making sure that my prices are actually profitable. Okay, and if you don't know if your prices are profitable, there's going to be a link in the description for the toolkit that helps you set profitable prices. So go and do that. So I know that this time that I am spending is being used efficiently, because I know that I'm using it on revenue generating activities, and that those revenue generating activities are profitable. And if you don't know that, if you're just working for working's sake, you're essentially just throwing spaghetti at the walls. A, chances are your prices are too low. But B, you're kind of stuck in that cycle of, well, if I don't work, I can't make a sale. And if I don't make a sale, then I can't pay myself. So I need to work. And so you get stuck in that. Now, is it all sunshine and rainbows? Absolutely not. This month that I am recording this right now, I have a cash flow gap. Okay. I have invoices that if people pay them, then I'll be fine. If they don't, which is a chance because I messed up and forgot my own cash flow issue and used a 30-day payment term, which means that they don't technically have to pay them until October. Just kind of hoping that they pay them ahead of time. So that's my own issue. Everybody makes mistakes, but I'm in control, right? In business, I'm in control. I'm in control of what my offers are, what my pricing is. I'm in control of how I show up online, and it's all done on purpose. But it's all started with the revenue goal, and that revenue goal is based on the life that I want to live. Okay, my brain's finally making some cohesive thoughts now. So I know the lifestyle that I want to live costs about £3,000 a month. Okay, so I've just reverse engineered that. How do I make £3,000 a month? Okay, well, these are my offers and these are my payment plans. How many do I need to sell? Okay, let's say I need to sell 5 spots. Okay, how much do I need to market to get 5 spots? Now there's not an exact number, but I can market this particular offer until I have sold 5 spots. Okay, and that's essentially what I do. I do not have a content strategy. Okay. I barely even have a launch strategy these days. I just kind of go like, okay, that's, I need to make 10 sales of that offer in this period, and I want people on payment plans. So I won't offer a pay in full bonus and blah, 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 blah. Let people. Then I just kind of go, okay, well, what do I need to say? What's worked before? Really simplify it. If you are an AI user, then yeah, things like ChatGPT to help you brainstorm ideas, absolutely amazing. But all of it comes from how much money do I want to make and how many hours do I want to make that in. That's going to give me my capacity, right? So if I'm selling one-to-one programs, I'm going to know how many spots I have available based on the capacity I want, like how many hours in a week I want to work, how many calls I want to take in a week. That is going to help me with my capacity, which is going to help me with my pricing, because capacity, was it revenue divided by capacity is your price. Okay, revenue goals. So it can be simple. We just like to tell ourselves that it's complicated. We like to find ways to avoid certain things, and that's just our mindset getting in the way. That's just, the mindset gremlins of, once we start worrying, once we start panicking, we start getting into that spiral. So it's always bringing yourself back. So for me, whenever I am starting to spiral, I'm starting to stress about not making enough money to live the life that I want to live. Well, first of all, I go back to the spreadsheet. Like, let's look at the actual numbers. What is going to come in this month? What is going to come out that month? What do I have any control over? Do I have control over putting out some marketing? Do I have control over setting a discount code for the month? Yes. Do I have control over what I post on Instagram and email and thread? Yes. Do I have control over what expenses I pay? To some regard, yes. I can pause things. I can contact people who I have payment plans with and let them know that, it's tight this month. Or do I have control over how much I pay myself? Yes. There's so much control. And my partner actually jokes. He's like, you don't have anxiety, you just have a control problem. And I'm like, yeah, you are right. I'm realizing that you are right. But is that not just anxiety? Having control gives us confidence, gives us clarity. And I feel like clarity is that one of those words at the moment no one likes, but it does, right? It gives us the knowledge of, oh, okay, everything is actually fine. And once you put the numbers in and go, oh, okay, actually everything's fine. Because don't forget, I was paying myself the amount of money it costs to live my ideal lifestyle. What if 1 month I just don't do something? What if I just don't put into savings 1 month? What if I just don't go to the PUT 1 month? What if I just don't do a driving lesson 1 month? What if I just there's so many things that are choices that I get to spend money on that I can just choose not to in order to not have to stress about money. We have so much control. And I like to give this picture of, it's not a nice picture, but almost, what would you do if you lost everything tomorrow? Because that's when we talk about this kind of like financial anxiety and financial worry, that's ultimately what it comes down to, isn't it? Is this fear of everything's gone. But if everything had gone tomorrow, do you know what you would do? You would go and, if you're in the UK, you'd apply for universal credit. You'd phone up Citizens Advice. You'd be getting advice as to what to do next. You would contact your landlord or your mortgage company and you would let them know of the situation, that you're going to need a pause. You would contact family and friends. Can anyone help? Your landlord's like, actually, it's not going to roll if you just can't pay. Can you go stay somewhere else? There's going to be solutions, and remember, when we work for ourselves, now I know this isn't a blanket statement for everyone, because I understand there's reasons why some people cannot work a 9 to 5, but there are a lot of us who are choosing this life. The worst thing that happens to me, if everything goes to pot, is I live off savings for a little bit and I go and get a job. I'll be a coffee shop. I'll be a barista again. I bloody loved being a barista. Doesn't faze me. Also, I know now, because I have the evidence, that I can make money. So watch this space, I'd just be back. I'd be back a month later. Do you know what I mean? Like, the worst thing that can happen is that you just have to find other sources of income. And there are so many sources of income. Now, we as business owners should know that more so than anyone else, because you might think the typical 9-to-5er sees income as their job or the government. Okay, and if they don't have their job, they only have one option, which is the government. Whereas I've got our business, and then there's so many ways in our business. Like, I know that if for whatever reason the money stuff doesn't work out, I have so many other skills. At this point in business, I could be an OBM, I could be a VA, I could probably do messaging, I'd definitely be a business coach. I could do all of it. I wouldn't be an expert right away, you know. I wouldn't be like top of my game with 10 years in the industry. Basically, you can live the lifestyle you want to live, but you actually need to work out what that is, and you need to then work out the plan of how you're going to get there. Coincidentally, that's what I help you do. Should you want to do that, I've got 25% off intensive this month, where we will plan your Q4 or your 2026, whatever you want to do, so that you can pay yourself like this, so you can take time off over Christmas and not have to worry about making sales. I'll put the link in the description, but you know where I am. If you're listening to this in October 2025 or beyond, I'm afraid you missed out. You can just buy it though. You just buy it full price. And you know it's worth it because I've run the numbers. Hey. Anyway, build a life first business. Put yourself first, okay? Use your days to scroll your phone in a coffee shop, to walk around Primark, to go to the big shops. We've got the Range, we've got Hobbycraft, we've got Carpet World, DFS and B&M, Home Bargains, Pets at Home. It's all up there. B&Q, Big Tesco. It's the whole road, you know. Sometimes you just like a little day, you like to go peruse the shop. Why not do it? I do. Hop on a train, go visit somewhere. Go to the gym. Go to the cinema. You can do whatever you want. If I told you that I worked 12 hours last week, you probably think I was lying. But I'm not, because I track everything I do. There's a great plugin called Rescue Timer. It connects to, oh my lord, my computer's having a meltdown. It connects to your desktop and just tracks everything you're doing. I should look after myself, because that's really important. I had driving lessons, I had 2 PT sessions. Yeah, had great times. Went and had a hair consultation for the wedding. Life first business. Okay, prioritize yourself in your business always, and that starts with paying yourself an amount of money that allows you to live your ideal lifestyle. If you are paying yourself last, if you are paying yourself what is left over, yeah, if you're going, oh, that's how much profit, or that's how much money is in my bank account, so I'm going to pay myself that, you don't have a life first business. You have a business first business, because you're letting your business dictate your life. Okay, because if you can only pay yourself £800, well, I guess you're not going to the spa this month. But if you strategize it so that your business can always pay you £3,000, well, you can go to the spa whenever you damn want. Okay, I'm going to get off my rant. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you do. I will add those links in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.